Welcome back. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you're tuning in. Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of Not Your Grandma's Advice. So, I want to start this episode with kind of a story. It's been a minute since I've told you guys a story about why I came up with the idea for an episode. So, this one definitely starts with a story. And I wouldn't say that I'm being vulnerable in this episode. I would say I'm more so being very tough love in this episode, both for you and for me. Okay, let's go ahead and get into it. Today we're talking about burnout, and boy, do I have a story for you that made me realize some things this past week. So, for those of you that don't know, I am currently getting my master's in interdisciplinary behavior science. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Yeah, I know. That being said, there has been an ongoing issue with my university regarding accepting my payments. So, most of you know by now that I'm a teacher, and I became a teacher through Teach for America. Teach for America is kind of like a branch or a part of AmeriCorps. Therefore, I get a stipend based off of my years of service, and that stipend can go towards your education, whether paying off loans or going towards new ones like my master's, right? So, that being said, my first year of my master's was covered by AmeriCorps. All I had to do was submit my payments to the university because AmeriCorps had already given me the money. Well, my university hasn't been accepting them on time. I've been paying them before the deadline for payment comes, but my university won't accept it until months later. My last payment was in January of this year. It is August and it still hasn't been accepted. And now they're talking about they're going to unenroll me from my classes if I don't pay. I have paid. You haven't accepted it. And my first semester I paid in August. They didn't accept it until October. Like, it's been an ongoing issue. That being said, my professor, shout out to my professor, my advisor. I don't know if she wants her name in this, so I'm not going to say her name in this, but I love her down. When I say that she has been a steady force throughout my time here, not only has she been my most consistent professor, I've had her every semester, but she's my advisor. And she seems to be one of the few competent people that I speak to at my university. And she definitely believes in me, believes in what I can do, and does everything in her power to get me there. That being said, she helped me get it resolved my first semester. And now she's trying to help me get it resolved this semester. It was a couple days ago, and I was telling her, I CC'd her in an ongoing email trend that I was having with my program directors or whatever. And they were just not getting to the root of it. Like, they just kept adding people onto the email chain, and nobody could do what I needed them to do. Like, they were just adding people to add people for no reason. So I added her into it, and she was like, I can't believe that this is still going on, that this is still an issue. And she told me to send her documentation of all of the payments I've made, when or if they were ever accepted by the university. And she told me to send like documentation of me trying to reach out to the university and them telling me like about withdrawal or me not being able to access Canvas. She told me to send her all of those, right? I was at work when she told me to send them. So I told her, okay, I'll send them when I get home because they're on my computer, which they are. I already had screenshots because I know people like to pretend things don't happen. And I don't like looking for things when things like this pop up. So I did have the screenshots already. There were a few more like from past semester and this semester that I need to put on there. But yeah, I had most of them already ready from last semester. From first semester. And when I got home, I played around, honestly. Like, I came in, I ate, I had just enough time to leave to go to Pilates, Came back from Pilates and I got distracted. And after that, I just wanted to shower and go to bed. And I set an alarm for in the morning because I was like, oh, I never sent my professor that documentation that she's asking for, even though she's trying to do me a favor, right? But I was just so pooped. I did not want to open another screen. So I set an alarm, an extra alarm in the morning to send those files off. However, when I woke up the next day, I completely forgot that I had an extra task than I'm used to in the morning. I have a very set schedule lately in the morning. I wake up, I brush my teeth, I wash my face, I put my contacts in, I get dressed, I work out, I shower, I get dressed for work, I pack my lunch, and I leave. That's been my schedule. So the fact that I have to add in sending documentation and adding more on there, it's not in my usual routine. I have just enough time for what I already do. So I was not moving with a sense of urgency. That's one important thing we're going to talk about today, is moving with a sense of urgency. And I forgot that yesterday me had tasked today me with something that I wasn't used to. So I was moving real slow. And then when my alarm finally went off, I was like, oh, I was supposed to be basically done and ready to go by the time this alarm went off. So the last thing I was supposed to do was send that documentation off and then leave the house. Well, I had just gotten out the shower by that point. So here I am trying to hurry up and rush and send documentation because someone's trying to do me a favor, right? And I'm rushing. So I'm hurried now. I'm not moving with intention, right? And I wind up sending everything off, but by the time I'm done sending everything off, it's time for me to go, right? That was supposed to be just enough time for me to leave. And I still wasn't ready to go. I still wasn't dressed, honestly. And I didn't pack my lunch, anything. I've been meal prepping, so that helps. But my meal prep is for my dinners because I've been so drained waking up at 4:45 in the morning, working out before work, going to work, and then sometimes going to Pilates after work. I meal prep my dinner so that I don't have to cook when I get home, right? So I didn't get a chance to make my yogurt that I usually have in the morning. So I was like, dang, I don't have a breakfast. And I didn't grab any fruit that I packed. So I had no food. I grabbed one of my meal preps. So that was one meal prep I was down. I'm taking resources from future me because past me assigned things to future her, right? Stay with me. And all in all, I'm just rushing, I'm hurried, and I'm forgetting things, right? And then it just kind of throws off your day. Doing things like that consistently would cause you to feel stressed, overstimulated, and eventually lead to burnout, which is today's topic, right? Now, I usually try not to rush like that in the morning. I like my mornings very calm. It's how I like to start my day. I am a morning person. A lot of people are not. But as soon as I see the sun coming out, I'm ready to start my day. Like, I'm in a good mood, and I like to stay in a good mood. That rushed and hurried behavior is not what I like to bring into my day, right? And that's why sometimes when I get to work, if I have been rushed or hurried, I like to sit and meditate so that I can bring in new energy into my space and into my day. Didn't have time to do that. I left so quick. I barely had time to say bye to my boyfriend. It was just, rushing isn't good for your self-peace, right? And if your self-peace is out of whack, then you're not balanced. And if you're not balanced, that's a gateway to burnout. Now, I'm not saying that, because you're rushing is why you're burned out. No, I'll explain a little bit more. I understand that there are a lot of emotionally demanding and physically demanding jobs where your burnout may be emotional and physical. Absolutely. Okay? I don't want to go into all the careers because I don't want to, I don't want to take away from anyone's experience. So if you feel as if you have an emotionally or physically draining job, then you do. I will say that I do not. Emotionally draining, no. Physically draining, Maybe sometimes, but not typically, not compared to some other jobs, right? So when I'm feeling burnout, it's because I'm not managing my time well and I'm not balancing very well. And that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to be talking about preventable burnout today, okay? So let's break down my story a little bit more. So I had a task that I was supposed to do on day one, right? When it was assigned. I did not do that, okay? So I pass it on to future me. The issue with doing that is you never know what future you is going to be dealing with, right? So if you have the capacity to take care of a task that day, you should do it sooner rather than later. Getting your to-do list. Remember, we talked about checking things off of our to-do list. Here's another reason why, right? You have your to-do list of things you should get done in order to benefit your current self and your future self, right? If you're constantly taking things from that list and putting it onto your future use list, not only is future use list piling up and piling up and piling up, therefore, when they're not completing things, they're feeling discouraged, they're feeling lazy, they're feeling overwhelmed, right? Or they just never get it done and it just keeps becoming a future use problem, okay? And then eventually it's months later and you still haven't finished the task that you got from day one, all right? That's one reason why you need to stop assigning things to future you. But also, you never know what future you is going to have to deal with. In my case, it was just forgetting that I had an extra task. But it could be something as your street is flooded or the power went out and your alarm didn't go off. Or it could be you got a flat tire. Now, I'm not wishing any of that on you, okay? I'm saying I'm not speaking any of that into the universe, but those are all things that can happen. And if you're tacking on responsibilities for future you to handle, what if they already have something else that they have to take care of and now they have to take care of something that you should have taken care of anyway? You need to treat future you like a partner and you need to treat past you like a partner, okay? It's a partnership. If I know that I had the capacity to open my computer no matter how sleepy I was, mind you, it probably wasn't even that late. My boyfriend is constantly making fun of me for wanting to go to sleep early and he's like, it's not even 9 o'clock. I'm tired though, okay? My clock is winding down and she's ready to go to sleep. So it probably wasn't that late, but I was tired, right? I could have opened my laptop, went ahead and sent that documentation, and then I wouldn't have been rushed in the morning, right? And I wouldn't have forgotten my food and I wouldn't have wasted resources for future me. See, that's something else I want to talk about. A couple episodes ago, I talked about how if you're not balanced, you're not taking care of the things that you're going to take care of and taking care of yourself, then you're not in a mindset to do it properly, right? So I talked about like, if you're saying, I'll eat when I'm done studying. But if you don't finish studying until like midnight, now all of a sudden you don't want to eat the meal prep and the chicken and rice that you prepared. You just want to eat some chips because they're already ready, right? That was kind of what I did. So I didn't have anything prepped already for me to just grab and go. Well, I did have my fruit, but I forgot about it. We're going to talk about that too, forgetting things. But because I was in such a rushed pace, I just grabbed whatever I could, and that happened to be one of my meals for future me. So now I have less meals than I'm supposed to for dinner. Remember, I said I'm making those meal preps because I don't like having to cook after working all day, working out, sometimes twice a day. I get drained, right? And now I'm down a meal because I was rushed, all right? It could be something as simple as that, but also the forgetting things. So when you're tacking tasks onto your future self's to-do list and you're writing checks that your future self can't cash, you're going to end up forgetting things. Remember I mentioned earlier we were talking about like you're adding things on and adding things on and adding things on, and that list is getting longer and longer and longer. Eventually something's going to get left off. Now that something could be important, or it could be something small that would have benefited your physical, mental, or emotional health, right? Which A lot of people still think it's small because it's not one of their main responsibilities. But remember, we talked about making yourself a responsibility as well. Okay, thank you. Clock it. But anyway, that is why doing things when you have the capacity to do them is so important. And here's what we're going to talk about. Here's my ask of you for this episode. When you get a task that you know you should finish, and it's sometimes a short one, right? A task that wouldn't take more than 20 minutes. If you have 20 minutes in your day, do it. Don't make it tomorrow's problem, because you never know what problem tomorrow might already give you. Okay? That being said, I want to talk a little bit more about symptoms of burnout and how to spot if you're getting burnt out, and some other ways that you can help alleviate that stress, okay? So if you're feeling irritable, very easily irritable, if you are tired, sometimes a little nauseated, if you have an increased heartbeat or heart rate, if you are getting headaches, right? Or if you are losing interest in the things that you consider your hobbies or things that you like. Now, that could be symptoms for something else entirely that we might talk about in another episode. But sometimes when it's all having to do with being work-related or school-related or those main responsibilities like we were talking about, that's a sign that you're starting to get burnt out, right? If it's a job or a task or a responsibility that you once enjoyed, and you find that you're having all these symptoms where you feel physically ill and you're not enjoying it anymore, it's because you're probably not taking care of all of your responsibilities in such a timely manner that you stay balanced, that you stay well. If you were still in a holistically balanced state that you should be in and should be operating in, how do they say, maintaining homeostasis and whatnot, if you were doing those and taking care of yourself, then you probably wouldn't feel that sick feeling. You wouldn't feel that burnt out feeling, right? You would still enjoy what you do and desire your career or whatever your responsibility is. But if you are noticing some of those things, then you need a mental health break. I know not all of us have the luxury of being able to take a day off of work or a day off of school or a day off of our responsibilities that may be causing us that emotional or physical drainage. But even if it's something as little as waking up earlier in the morning so that you can take 10 minutes to yourself to either read a book you've been wanting to read or start it at least. I don't think anyone's going to finish a book in 10 minutes, but start a book you've been wanting to read, or make yourself a really nice cup of coffee or a cup of tea, maybe journal, something that dedicates time to yourself that pours into your own cup, or going to bed a little earlier so that you're not up so late stressing. Because remember, one of those main things about maintaining balance is making sure your body is getting what it needs. Not just food for energy, but also sleep. A lot of people are going to bed late. My boyfriend makes fun of me for going to bed so early, but he goes to sleep when it's the next day already, right? You need the proper hours of sleep. Scientists aren't just bullshitting you. They're telling you these things because they want you to live a balanced life. You need a certain number of hours of sleep to feel well. Staying up till 2, 3 in the morning and then having to get up for work at 6 or 7, of course you're going to feel burnt out. You're tired. You're sleepy. Therefore, you probably are a little bit more irritable. Your brain isn't firing on all cylinders, so you're a little more sluggish. You're not quick to react, right? You need sleep, okay? So either waking up a little earlier and taking some time for yourself, or if you're not going to go to bed because you're a night owl, right? Maybe take some time before you go to bed for yourself, okay? If you can't afford or you don't have the ability to take a mental health day, okay? But getting your burnout and noticing it early helps, because your body is going to make you rest. I don't know how many of you have experienced this, but just take a mental note if it sounds familiar. You are working. You are locked in. You are hustling and bustling, and you are getting all the things done. But you may not have been taking care of yourself as well as you should have been. And now you feel upset. Your mind is off. Your body feels weird. And all of a sudden, maybe you came down with something. Or maybe you're so tired that you just can't move your body. Or you just cannot get yourself out of bed, right? That's your body forcing you to take a break. You need to be taking your breaks before it even gets to that point, okay? Burnout can cause that. If you are going, and you're burnt out, and you're still going after you've already reached that peak, you're going to hit that danger zone, and your body is going to shut you down. Your body is going to say, sit your ass down, and you're going to have no choice but to do it, and it's going to come at a super inconvenient time. So if you just go ahead and take the time while you have it, that can all be prevented, right? Now, I want to reiterate that we are talking about preventable burnout. There are a lot of emotionally and physically grueling jobs that it may not just be a mind thing or tacking responsibilities on to the next, right? Anything that has to do with like child care or saving lives, those are things that can be emotionally and physically grueling, okay? That's something you need to find an outlet, okay? Now, people who have preventable burnout, you can also find an outlet as well, because anybody and everyone could use one. But if you do have one of those jobs that we're talking about, you need an actual outlet, something that you can add into your schedule that makes you feel peace, that makes you feel at ease, or burn off steam, okay? That can be some physical hobby, whether that's working out or something fun like kickboxing or Zumba or like tennis. I don't know, something that you would enjoy. Or it can be something calm like puzzles or coloring or art, pottery. Literally whatever your niche is, whatever your vibe is, find a way to incorporate that into your schedule and give it priority. If you need help making priority for the things that you need, go back a couple episodes. We talked about it already, okay? But you're going to need to start scheduling time into your already busy schedule. I know. You're going to need to start taking time for yourself, because that burnout, while it's not preventable, you can bring yourself peace and joy from time to time while you're having that moment, okay? That being said, my actions for you are to start paying attention to your body, start paying attention to your mind, and how you are reacting to things. Are you quick to anger? Are you the type to calmly talk things over? Do you kind of self-regulate your own emotions, right? Or are you maybe feeling sick to your stomach when you have to go to work? Or do you get a headache every time you know you're going to have to deal with whatever responsibility you have? Those might be early signs of burnout, okay? If you're noticing those and you're paying attention and you're in tune to your body, then figure out what your next step is. Take that mental health break before that break takes your mental health, okay? You don't want your body to force you to sit down. Like I said, it's always going to come at the least convenient time. So if you're noticing that now, go ahead and figure out how to take some time for you, okay? And if you're already at that stage where you're at your peak already, go ahead and schedule some time. Do a hard reset. Either take some time in the morning, take some time at night, whatever you need to do to kind of bring that down. Do some things for yourself and stop writing checks that your future self has to cash, okay? That is my main takeaway from this video. When you have a to-do list and it is doable within the time that you are allotted, get it done. Just get it done, because future you will thank you. I don't know anybody that has ever crossed off their to-do list and the next day they think, man, I really shouldn't have done that because I would have loved to do that right now. No. You're probably like, wow, I'm really glad that I already finished that because I would have hate to done that right now. Yes, exactly. Okay. So please stop writing checks your future self has to cash. Stay in tune and pay attention to your body. And make sure you're taking your breaks before those breaks force you to take them. All right. That being said, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of NYGA. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share to your friends. And I have a wonderful surprise for you coming on our next episode. That being said, check out my Instagram. Love you. Proud of you. Thanks for doing the work, and I'll see you next time. Bye.